Welcome again to It Doesn't Take a Genius, conversation with introspective perspectives and pithy points of view. Here are your hosts, my friends, Max and Marty.
I think that's Mark and Mike.
Yeah, whatever.
Ramsey!
Marshall, so good to see you in a lovely background there. It looks just quaint and creative and enjoyable there.
It does. I wish it was mine. Yeah.
I know whose it is. So I won't say on air, but yeah, it fits perfectly.
Oh, yes. It's
Perfectly.
one of the smartest people we know.
That's right.
Right. So if I can't be that person, I can at least, pretend like I'm in their space and hope something rubs off. Right.
Virtual osmosis. Got it.
The universe will give me something. So
I don't know that has a segue naturally into what we're talking about, but I'm going to make a segue. And here's the segue. You, here it is. You had a really smart idea for an episode based on a recent experience you had with a client. And I think you and I both have probably had this same experience several times, but tell your recent version.
Oh, yeah. So it all stemmed from our episode on the Great Resignation.
Yeah.
And the fact that every one of your employees, if you're a manager or business owner, they're all getting wooed. Right. And we talked about, other people are trying to woo. And it was funny because I was meeting with a group of managers and I brought this up. And two of the managers in the room said they had recently been wooed. They're like, I can testify that people are getting offers. I got one. And one manager, it was incredible. It was a place that was a little less commute, and it was 150,000 more a year.
Yikes!
And he turned it down. So
beautiful.
So great place, great culture.
Yeah, somebody's doing something right there.
Yeah, this is one of those places. So then that brought up the conversation of how do you demonstrate to your team members that you care? Mm-hmm. And so we started, one-on-one coaching and meetings and favorite foods. And right, we had this list. And then this theme emerged from the list. And it was because you and I are in the coaching business, and a lot of times the coaching business turns into the we used to business.
Yeah.
And so there was a whole list of things that they used to do.
Uh-huh.
And so they used to have an all-employee meeting. They gathered the whole team together and recognize people and introduce the new team members and celebrate and stuff like that. Yeah, we quit doing that. And they quit doing that before COVID had kind of encouraged that. The one-on-one conversations, some of the coaching, just things like this that the manager like, I used to do that. And so then we got to talking. All right, so what was one of the things that stopped you from doing it? And what the theme was that emerged was there was the naysayer, the lowest common denominator team member, the guy, girl who just didn't like it. All employee meetings, waste of time.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know why you're talking to me. I don't know why we have to, And so what we figured out was that these people were the tiniest of minorities, and yet
we're running the show.
They wore the manager down, and then the manager just quit. Right, even though they saw value in it, right? Because we brainstormed the attributes, and it's like, does it have value? Do people look forward to it? And it had all of these things, and yet the manager gave up because one or two people just wore them down.
Yeah.
And so that became the conversation of, and people got a little angry. People were like bristling, like, I can't believe I let them do that to me.
Yeah.
like
right.
I'm the leader, and I let one or two people take me off. One guy said, take me off my game. Right. Here's my leadership game. And it was tight. And I let this person take me off my game. There was frustration, disappointment. There was a lot of feelings about this. And it actually ended up in a really good place once we got it all out on the table.
So you've referenced a couple of episodes that we've done recently that got some interaction with us, some positive feedback. The episode on the Great Resignation and sort of being ready for that. I recently heard it called The Big Quit. I like that one too. And I have clients actively talking to me about that. One has already quit. Another may. So yeah, this is happening all over the place. If you're listening to this podcast and you have employees, this is for you. It really is true. So we'll make sure we put a link to that. You also referenced, one of the things you can do to be really sticky with your employees, which is all these ideas on demonstrating care. We have an episode on that. And now you're suggesting this is sort of a third episode. This is maybe the final leg of the trilogy, which is, but what if some people buck that care? What if some people don't want those programs, those activities, whatever, and they become that squeaky wheel that is the naysayer, the whiner, that is not fitting in with the culture that you think you're trying to build there? What do you do? So you and I have come today to talk about something from either side of the coin that you can accomplish. And why don't I go first with sort of this technique? There's a book from when did Crucial Conversations come out? Was it like early 90s?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, at least in that time frame. Yeah. So this is a business classic, leadership classic, called Crucial Conversations. And it's a, goodness, there could be a podcast called Crucial Conversations, and there probably is. But let me give you one little nugget that I took from that material, which is the idea of the point of a crucial conversation is, that this is a little risky because this could go off the rails, but I really need a breakthrough to happen with this person. I really need things to change. So one of the techniques from the book is to really think through the observations, because those are facts, and to also think through your feelings, because your feelings are facts. Your feelings may be wrong, but the fact that you're having them is a fact, right? So, hey, Mr. Salesman, every time I have an all-employee meeting, you're late. You usually sit there with your arms crossed. You complain in public that you think it's a waste of time. Those are all facts, right? We haven't said anything that's accusatory at this point. We're just stating facts. Mm-hmm. And instead of accusing them and saying, you're a jerk, what we're instead going to say is something along the lines of, I feel like you are actively fighting me in an effort I'm making on behalf of morale here. There's one off the top of my head of a way you could start that conversation. So you're allowing yourself to go down a path here of having really a moment of conflict with this person, but in a way where you're setting the stones, building the foundation here to talk about some things that cannot be argued with. You've done these 5 things. You may not realize the impact it's had. Here's how I feel about what you're doing there. You might even add some of the observations you could make about how other people have reacted to what you've done, and the drag that you've had on other people. And of course, you wouldn't want to have this conversation unless you really had a goal to say, look, I need you on board. I need you to show up on time for the meetings and participate, or whatever it is. But that's the start of the conversation, is laying out that foundation of, here are the facts. I've observed all this, and here's another fact. Here's how I feel about it, and we need to get to a new place. Let's talk. And that's the start of the conversation. So you could address this person directly in a very fair way. That's one side of the coin. Any thoughts on that before we move on to the other side of the coin? No, I like that it's specific. There's no generalizations to start the conversation.
Right.
And I'm a huge fan of taking photos. So if I see a management team meeting, right, if I'm leading a meeting, I'll often take a photo of the crowd.
Do you really?
Oh yeah. And so sometimes the photo, quit laughing at me. Sometimes the photo, right, has the depiction of what it is that you're describing.
Right.
And so you've got all these people smiling, right? You got this one guy who looks like Jeff Dunham's, grumpy puppet, He's sitting there, his shoulders are slightly turned away from the rest of the crowd. He's got a big frown, arms are crossed, and so sometimes describing it is one thing, and then showing the photo.
Yeah.
Right. What do you observe about yourself in this photo?
Right.
I look like I'm chewing lemons. yes, you do. And,
that's hysterical.
So yeah, how do you vividly bring this to life?
Yeah.
And
you said show. I mean, that's the whole point. Is I could tell you, hey, you're really a pain, but I could show you you're a pain by making these observations and taking pictures live during meetings. That's only you, Marshall. Only you.
Everybody doesn't do that.
I think it's hysterical.
I do it all the time. I thought it was normal.
It's a great idea. I'm just saying, I've never heard anybody do it.
Oh yeah, I got tens of thousands of them. Yeah. And it's interesting, right? Because when I have the conversation that you're talking about, the photo, sometimes nothing needs to be said. Right? You just show the photo and go, what do you see here? Is this how you want to portray yourself after they describe what they see? And all of a sudden we're having a conversation about leadership and impact and teamwork and how do we get people in the right frame of mind and all those crazy cool conversations.
Yeah, love it. Okay, so now give us the flip side. What's the other side of this coin? Dealing with that person's negative behavior is one thing. You see another side of the coin too.
Well, yeah. I've always called this, people who are stricken with old fartitis. So old fartitis is, you don't have to even be old to be stricken. I've seen young people afflicted with the disease. They're just not happy about anything that you do. And there could be a multitude of reasons for that. Maybe they think they should have your job, or you're too young, or you're too old, or whatever the reason is. My technique for that is how do I get them involved? How do I get them engaged? How do I acknowledge the expertise that they have? Because pretty good chance if they're suffering from old fartitis, they've been around a while, they've seen some stuff, they have good ideas.
Sure.
And so before, say, I'm going to bring back the all-employee meeting, before I announce it, I go to this person and I say, hey, I think we need to get everybody together. We're kind of disjointed, and kind of share a common message and maybe celebrate some stuff. So how would you do that? How could we do that would be least amount of impact on productivity in the workday and still make it fun? Yeah. And then all of a sudden we've got, I've got them leaning in, I've got them engaged. If in best case scenario, they lean in and they give me some good ideas, and lo and behold, I've gotten some great ideas doing it this way. Mid case scenario is, well, I don't really have a lot of ideas, but I'll participate. And then worst case scenario is they never come around to it, but I go back to kind of where you're at and say, okay, let me secure an agreement here. Let me secure a commitment. Until you're not on board with this, for the first round, can I get your commitment that you won't work against it? Yeah. Right. And see if I can, if I can't get you enthusiastically involved, I'm going to get you to at least commit to not being that naysayer, that lowest common denominator, the person who's negative nilly or whatever you want to call them. And so I secure that commitment, and then we've got something to talk about if they don't live up to the commitment. Yeah, right. And so it's not, you were being negative and I didn't care for that. Well, you should have let me know ahead of time that negativity was something you didn't care for. All right, now I'm letting you know ahead of time that, you working against me on this is a bad thing. If you got a problem with it, come to me, but I appreciate you not tearing the whole thing down in front of the rest of the team. And some of them literally don't realize how much of an impact they have. They're shocked when you have that conversation eventually to say, this is what it looks like and this is what it does. They forget the power of their words and so on. But it struck me in what you're talking about on the positive side of the coin that, you are having to share with them the why, the purpose behind this thing you want to do. And we had a coworker years ago. I don't know if you'll remember this, but anytime we
had employee meetings where we were getting employee teams together to work on a process, he would always start the conversation with why it's important. And so he'd say, this process, we're going to figure out how to improve it. Why is this process important to the store? Why is this process important to you? Why is this process important to the customer? And so he would cover, sort of the gamut there and make sure that people understood the importance and value of it. Okay, now let's go research and figure out how to, improve that process. But he would always start there.
Right. And you see that a lot of times we take it for granted. We make the assumption that they know why we're doing this. Right. Why are we having this coaching? Why are we having this training? Why are we, and they don't.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
You have to connect the dots.
Yep.
This is connected to our vision, our mission, whatever, and this is how it relates to that, and this is how we all impact it individually, and that's why we're going to talk about it and see if we can get better at it or whatever we need to do.
Yeah, whatever that is.
So yeah, it's bringing them in on the why, seeing if I can get their ideas, maybe even get them to participate, and worst case scenario, just don't work against me.
I like it. And then if there's a violation of that, you can go to the crucial conversation and have a direct. It's a conflict. I mean, it truly is a conflict, and some of us don't like to go there. But you have set yourself up for success with the ways we're talking about guiding yourself into that conversation. So, hope this is helpful to some folks out there who are listening.
Yes, and like I said, it was a common theme in the room that a lot of people had allowed this to happen to themselves.
That's right.
Strong leaders who truly knew who they were and knew what they believed, and yet they let a few people take them off their game. So don't let these people take you off your game. You know it needs to be done. The rest of the people appreciate it. Just go forth and as the cable guy says, get her done.
That's exactly right. Speaking of getting her done and being someone who maybe appears sarcastic but has never pulled against us.
No. He loves
John Wolf.
John Wolf, the voice in the sky.
And that's a wrap. It doesn't take a genius. The blog dedicated to reducing the irreducible. Next time, prime numbers. What makes them so special? Join us then, and thanks for listening.
That's good enough.